Welcome back, boys and girls. Let's pop back into our lesson for today. Welcome back, boys and girls. Listen to these words and listen for the sound that is the same in each word. Stove, van, save, vent. What sound do you hear that's the same in each one of those words? Stove, van, save, vent. We hear the V sound in each of those words. Let's take a look at these words up on the board. Stove, van, save, vent, have, give, live. What letter do you see in all of these words that be making the V sound? We see the letter V is in all of these words making the V sound. Is the letter V a vowel or a consonant? Yes, the letter V is a consonant. Look at these words. What do you notice about the way V is spelled in the final position? All of them have an E after the V. English words don't end with V. Instead, they end with the letters V-E. This rule says when you are spelling words that end with a V sound, you should always spell the ending sound with V-E. Now let's finish coding these words. Let's start with our first word. Look carefully at the end. Yes, we have sneaky E. And sneaky E jumps over and it makes the O long and say its name. And we have the word stove. Let's look at the next word. We have a vowel followed by a consonant. So we're going to code it with a breve. And we have the word van. Let's look at the next one. Another sneaky E, and it's going to jump over, and it's going to make the A long, and the A say its name. And our last word. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Boys and girls, please note that yes, we spell the final V sound V-E. That E is still going to be sneaky. It's still going to be silent and jump over and make the other vowel say its name. Let's take a look at these words. These are words that do not follow the rules. Have, give, and live. Remember, like I said, sneaky E should jump over and make the vowel long and say its name. But listen here. Ha-a-a, that's a short A. Give, that's a short I. And live, that's also a short I. So these are sight words. Sight words are words that do not follow the rules, so we need to memorize them. We'll talk a little bit more about these later. Now it's time for us to practice our skywriting. So let's get our fingers straight up into the air, nice and straight. And we're going to start with our top line, and we're going to slant down to the baseline. We're going to go back to the top line, and we're going to slant down the other way to the baseline, making it nice and straight and pointed at the bottom. Now let's make lowercase v. We're going to start at our midline and we're going to slant down to our baseline. Then we're going to go back to our midline and slant down the other way to our baseline, keeping it nice and straight and pointed at the bottom. Now, boys and girls, we're going to practice building some words. So if you have letter tiles at home or magnetic letters, go ahead and get them out and you can practice along with us. If you don't have any of those materials, that's okay. Just follow along with paper and pencil. Make sure you keep an eye out for those double consonants. And we have 2 E's and 2 O's in case we need to do any digraphs or sneaky E's. So I'm going to give you all a moment to get your materials together. All right, now, boys and girls, we should be ready to go. So let me have us all back paying attention. Our first word that we're going to build is the word van. Van. What letters do we need to make the word van? Now let's go ahead and read it together. Van. Now, boys and girls, I want to change the word van into the word vein. What letter do I need to add to the end to make the vowel long and make it say its name? What letter does that? A sneaky E does that. Now let's read our new word. Vein. Remember that sneaky E is quiet, but it makes the A long and say its name. Now I want to make the word hive. I hear a long I in that word. What letter at the end of that word is making the vowel say its name? Let's listen as we sound out the word. I, v. There's something quiet at the end of that word that's making the vowel say its name. I, v. Let's build the word. Another sneaky E at the end of the word. Sneaky E is silent, and it jumps over and makes the I long and say its name. Let's read this word together. Hive. Now let's practice some sight words. Our first word is the word says. Remember, sight words are words that do not follow the rules, so we need to have them memorized. So how do we make the word says? There we go. Let's read it together. Says. Let's make another sight word. This time we're going to make the word school. School. This one's a tricky one, but we should have it memorized. Here we go. School. Let's read it together. School. And one more sight word. Put. Put. What letters do we need? Let's read this word together. Put. Good job, boys and girls. So today we've been learning about a new letter. And to remind us what sound the letter V makes, we have the keyword vest. So when we see this card, we're going to say vest, V. Now, today we did learn about a new letter. So when I tell you V, you're going to say and write the letter V. But we also learned that at the end of words, it's not spelled with just the letter V. So we need to add something to our response. We need to have V, final V-E. Because at the end of words, it's spelled V-E. And we have some new sight words for today. We have the word give. I will give my mom some flowers. Live. I live in a house. And have. I have a cat. Remember that sight words are words that do not follow the rules. So they are words that we need to have memorized. So when we see these words in our worksheets or in our readings, we're going to circle them because they are words that we know. Good job, boys and girls. Now let's practice coding some words. Let's start with this short sentence here. Let's look at the first word. It's a contraction. How do we code contractions? Well, that's kind of a trick question. We do not code contractions. Instead, we figure out what two words make up the contraction, and that will help us better understand what we're reading. So this is the contraction it's. It is are the two words that make up the contraction its. Now let's code our next word. Look carefully. This is not a contraction, and that's not suffix s. That is apostrophe s. An apostrophe s with a name means that something belongs to someone. So we're going to leave apostrophe s until we're done coding the name. Now let's look at this name. I see a vowel. Is it followed by a consonant? No, it is not. Apostrophe s is separate, and we're going to leave it alone for now. So an open, accented vowel is long, and we code it with a macron. Let's remember the rest of that rule. An open, accented vowel. Now let's look at our apostrophe s. I wonder if this s is going to make a voiced or unvoiced sound. This s is coming after a vowel sound, so it's going to make a voiced sound. So I'm going to put a voice line through it to remind me that it goes Z, z, z. Now let's read this sentence. It's vise. The person's name is Vi, and there is something that belongs to her. So we say it's vise. Now let's take a look at this phrase up on the board. Let's start with the first word in the phrase. Look at the end of that word. What do we see? We see suffix ing, so we're going to box it in. I know that suffix ing adds a syllable to a word, so I'm going to put an accent mark after my root word. Now let's go ahead and let's code our root word. Start at the beginning. What do you see? We see digraph th. And in this word, digraph th is making its unvoiced sound. So we're going to leave it alone. Now let's look for our vowel. Is the vowel followed by a consonant? Yes, it is. A vowel followed by a consonant is coded with a breve. Now let's go on to our next word. That's a sight word, so let's circle it. Now the next one. How should we code this word? Actually, this is suffix ing, so we're going to box it in again. Be. To be is just to be here, just to be you. Being is to be you, to act like you right now. I know it's a little tricky. We'll continue to work with it. Don't worry about it. Now, suffix ing adds a syllable to a word. So that means I need to add an accent mark after my root word, which is be. Now let's look at our vowel. Is it followed by a consonant? Remember, suffix ing is separate, so ignore it for now. So there's nothing after the vowel. So an open, accented vowel is long, and we code it with a macron. It already has an accent mark on it, so we'll just move on to our next word. We know this word. How do we code this word? We code it with a schwa. We make sure that we read like we talk. So we want to say, a cat came to my window. That sounds better than a cat came to my window. So we're going to say for the word a. Now let's go on to our last word. Do you see any obvious or easy codings? Yes, we need to put a K back on the letter C to remind us that it makes the K sound. Now let's look for our vowel. I see two vowels. What could that be? It's digraph O-O. Now let's read this phrase together. Thinking of being a cook. That would be an interesting profession. Now, let's go on to our last phrase. Let's start with the first word. What do you see at the end of that word? Sneaky E. So let's cross it out, and it jumps over, and it makes the I long, and makes it say its name. Let's look at our next word. I don't see any easy or obvious codings. So let's go ahead and let's look at our vowels and consonants. I see a vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel pattern. So I'm going to draw my syllable divider line and put an accent mark after the first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. I see a vowel followed by a consonant, so I'm going to code it with a breve. Let's look at our second syllable. I see another vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Now let's look at our last word. Do you see any easy or obvious codings we can do? Yes, the letter C at the end. Let's put a K back to remember that it goes K. Now let's look for our vowels and consonants. I see a vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel pattern. So we'll draw our syllable divider line, put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. We see a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Let's look at our second syllable. We see another vowel followed by a consonant, so we code it with a breve. Now let's read this phrase together. Fine velvet fabric. That sounds very pretty and soft. Good job today, boys and girls. Keep an eye out for that new letter that we learned. And watch for when you have a final V spelling, because we're going to use that new spelling rule that we learned today. We'll see you later. Bye.